Alright, in this video we are going to look at how to do a little bit of regex. Basically, if you're familiar with Tasker, we're not using Tasker here. Not using Tasker, but Tasker has this thing called like a variable search and replace. We can search and replace stuff in KLWP. Basically, ultimately you're going to be able to search through something crazy. You're going to be able to find something and you can replace it with nothing, which is essentially deleting it. Or you can add on your own characters or whatever. Basically what we want to do here is we want to pull an image from Google Rss. However, if you're not interested in pulling an RSS image from Google News, this is still very helpful in my opinion, because you can take any crazy looking file and you can search for anything inside of the file or any XML document or whatever, and you can replace it with what you want, or you can break it down to what you need. Because inside of this crazy thing, let me show you what I'm trying to find inside of here. Let me unpin this. Command F, image source. Okay, basically you see that guy right there, image source equals, and all I want is this. And there's actually 10 of those in here, because basically I'm looking at Game of Thrones. Yes, it starts in what, 2 days? I'm pretty excited. But basically it's searching for the little thumbnail images. And the way I do that is I basically take my little URL from my RSS feed. Yes, you might have to fine tune it a little bit. And then I do like a and output equals RSS. Notice this URL here does look a little bit different than how this one looks. What did I put in between here? I put game plus, of plus, thrones, whereas this one has like those. But if I come in here and take away that, if I put a plus there, I don't think it really matters. I'm not 100% sure of that. And if I take all that stuff away, press enter, it's pretty much the same thing. So I took that guy there. Make sure you are somewhat familiar with parameterizing your URL based on what region you're in, like what edition do you want, or what's some other things too. What language do you need to read your RSS in? But however, if you're just going to Google News, it's probably going to display it in the language and edition that you need anyway. So again, at the end of that URL, I just type in and output equals RSS, and then ultimately it's going to take me to that crazy looking thing, which I already have right here. But again, back to the tutorial. Ultimately, we want to be able to cut this thing out. But I'm not ready to show you that yet. What I want to show you first to get you used to it is to how we can take this thing, and I'm going to show you how we can cut out pretty much anything we want. Ultimately, this tutorial, if you can follow along with this paragraph and do this, it pretty much works the same way down here with working with a XML file or something like that. You may have to do some modifications, but if you want the code right now, either this code will work, or actually let me take away, let me delete, and delete. I'll talk about that in a second. You don't really need those there because it will take care of it right there. It's crazy how it works. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and have a look. I'm going to take this entire paragraph here. I'm going to copy and paste it into KLWP. So let me add a text item. Boom. All right. Let's space this stuff out so it's not running off the screen. Let's make it a touch bigger. No, I don't want to fit width. I want to do a fixed width. All right. Now, how did I figure this stuff out? I did a few little lessons. I talked to some people online and whatnot. But over here at regex1.com, I used some of these lesson notes in here. The main ones I'm going to be using are the period that represents any character. So basically, if I don't know what the character is going to be, a B, C, D, or a number or whatever, I can use a period to show that. And then if I want 0 or more repetitions of something, I can use an asterisk. We can also use a plus as well, whereas plus just does 1 or more repetitions. So taking that paragraph right there, keeping those periods, asterisks, and things like that in mind, I'm going to go full screen so you can actually see what I'm doing here. I'm going to take that paragraph, and I'm interested in, suppose we wanted to take all the P's and we want to replace them with an X. Okay, a capital X. Here's how we're going to do that. Let me copy and paste that down here. Of course, I'm going to take this paragraph. And how do we do this type of stuff? Well, we want to go to text converter and we want to scroll down a little bit until we see this guy right there. Now, 0 plus and a 0 are different. But let me go ahead and put my paragraph into here. Okay? And I said I want to replace the P's. So let me type in a P right there. Basically, what this code does, RegEX is going to take this thing that you have in here. It can be a long file, it can be an XML file or whatever, and it's going to cut through it and it's going to search for, in this case, it's going to search for P and any repetitions of P, and it's going to replace them with an X. Well, let me say, check this, and hopefully you can read this, but basically this same paragraph, it went through here, and wherever it saw P's or any repetitions of P's, it replaced them with a capital X. Remember the word suppose? Suppose has 2 P's, but it only has 1 X. Suppose has 2 P's, but we only see 1 X. Well, how can we fix it so we see 2 X's since there were 2 P's? Well, if we go back in here and take away that plus, it's going to replace every single P that it sees. As you can see right there, 2 P's get replaced with 2 X's, whereas if I come back in here and put that plus, notice how it just replaces any repetitions of P's with a single X. So I hope that makes sense. That's what that plus can do, and it turns out the asterisk, on the other hand, that can be a little bit crazier, as you can see right there. I mean, look at what it did here. What in the heck did it do? It took a P, and anything that occurred after the P, it replaced it with an X. That is crazy. I don't know what the heck happened there, but we don't want to do that. So let's just roll with a P and a plus for right now. The asterisk I am going to use. I need to look a little bit deeper into that, but boom. So the plus will replace any repetition of P's. All right, asterisk, we got to come back to that one. All right, now, with that said, let's see here. Suppose we want to look for the word coding. K-O-D-I-N-G. Do you see how it took away that word coding, RegEX, and I had coding there a moment ago? If you don't remember that, I did have it right there in that paragraph, so it replaced it with an X. Now, suppose we didn't know what occurred before coding or what occurred after coding, like these little quotation marks. And see, quotation marks, can we put quotation marks inside of quotation marks? Let's see if this is going to fix it. You see how it's not doing what I want it to do? But suppose I want to get rid of those quotation marks that are around that X. Well, that's where the period can come in and save the day. So watch what happens if I put a period in front of coding. Watch what happens to this quotation mark. Gone. What happens if we put a period after the quotation mark? Gone. What about if I do another period? Gone. Gone, 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 gone. Oh, now I'm doing spaces now. But in fact, the more periods I add, it's going to continue just, replacing all that stuff that it sees. It's just going to replace it with an X. However, what we can also do is we can come back here where this X is and we can replace it with absolutely nothing. This is the way you can delete something. It's going to do that little code up here. Reg, it's going to search through whatever you may have inside of these quotation marks, whatever code or whatever HTML document, XML document, whatever. It's going to search and it's going to replace it with nothing now. So let me go back to the word just coding. Do you see how it got rid of the word coding and it replaced it with nothing? You might say, oh, there's a quotation mark right there. Well, I got to put one of my periods back and watch that quotation mark disappear. So, period, got rid of the quotation mark. Another period is going to get rid of the period. Another period is going to get rid of a space. Another period is going to get rid of another space. Another period is going to get rid of the S. Hopefully you get the idea there. Suppose I want to get rid of everything after coding. Everything. So basically I don't want to see any of this stuff after coding. Well, if we do period and an asterisk, bam, gets rid of everything after coding. You see that up here? See how that sentence just really disappeared on us? Boom. That whole paragraph got condensed down to that. Well, that's not what I want. If we read this paragraph, suppose you wanted to see the following. This is the only thing I want to see. So what I have to do here is I have to go back and delete this stuff. And let's search for the word following because I want to delete the word. Let me save that. Okay, suppose you wanted to see the following. This is the only thing I want to see. So basically I want to see just that sentence right there and I want to get rid of everything else. So you're going to search and you're going to replace to get rid of the first part. So let's search for the word following with a colon and let's do 2 spaces because in that colon there I have 2 spaces before I go to the word this. Notice if I come up here, 1, 2 spaces. So I need to do following with a colon followed by 2 periods, or I could do this. I could say following. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but the word following just disappeared. I want to get rid of the colon, but suppose we don't know if it's a colon. We can just put a period there. Notice it's getting rid of it. And then I want to get rid of 2 more spaces, so I'm going to put 2 more periods. See how it moved that word this over? Now if I do it again, it should get rid of T. But I don't want to get rid of T. So boom. Alright, I got rid of the word following. How do I get rid of everything in front of it? Well, what I need to do now is come over here on this side, and I need to remove. Watch what happens if I start doing stuff in front of following. So I'm talking about, you know, the word the and stuff like that. You see how these things are getting disappeared? But instead of us doing so many periods, let's just do a period with an asterisk. Look at what it just did. It got rid of everything in front of the word following, and it got rid of the colon and the 2 spaces. So now immediately we're starting with this is the only thing I want to see. Now we have to get rid of this stuff after it. So what we're going to have to do now, we've gotten rid of the stuff in front of it. Now we have to get rid of the stuff after the word see. So here's what we're going to have to do. We want to look for the word we, and we want to delete everything after the word we. Well, we have to come back and apply another TC reg to this entire thing that we just did. So TC reg, comma, it's going to look. So TC reg, where the first TC reg got rid of the words or the stuff with following and everything in front of it. Remember, it got rid of all of this back to here. Now we want to get rid of everything after the word see, period. We want to get rid of the word we. So TC reg, we come to the end of the stuff that we just did a moment ago, and what do we want to search for? We want to search for the word we. Okay? Oh, let me see. Let me think. Let's put that in quotations. So let's search for the word we, case sensitive by the way. What do we want to replace this with? Let's replace it with, just for now, for tutorial purposes, let's replace it with the word thrones. Not throbbed, what in the heck is that? Thrones and quotation, and we need a parentheses to end it. So look what happened. This is the only thing I want to see. Well, look at what it done. It searched for the word we, and it replaced it with thrones. So now it used to say we can cut this out and show it in KLWP. Now it says thrones can cut this out and show it in KLWP. Well, we don't want thrones. We want to see nothing. We want to get rid of everything. Okay, boom. So now the word we is completely gone. How do I get rid of some of these spaces? Well, we had 2 spaces from a sentence in front of it. So if we come back into here and we do some dots, see how it's moving this stuff over? Boom, boom. Now if I do it one more time, it's probably going to get rid of that period. I don't want to get rid of the period. Alright, so let's put that period back. So let me take away one of those characters that I have in front of it. Remember, periods get rid of anything in RegEX, any character. So I got rid of the word we, but I want to get rid of everything after it. So I want to get rid of any character after it that occurs 0 or more times. That's that asterisk. Boom, gone. We have just taken that sentence by using 2 TC regs. 2 TC regs. We took one to cut out the first part with the following and all this stuff in front of it. Then we did another TC reg on that to get rid of everything after it. And that's the basic idea. That sentence right there is now, and we can go back in here and we can take this sentence here, and no matter what's in between those 2 things, whatever falls in between the word following and the word we. So I can come back up here, anything in between here and here, if I add it to it, so start going crazy, notice it's going to do it. It's going to add it up here because this stuff technically, what's happening, the way we coded this is we coded it to show everything in between following, right there, and everything right before we, or the period there at the end of that sentence. So let me delete that stuff. Let me back out of there. I don't want to show that stuff. But that is that's just some of the basics. I'm sure there's more of this stuff that we can do with RegEX coding, because if you notice, where is it at? Boom, there's a whole bunch of different things we can do, but those are the ones that are most useful for me to extract what I'm looking for. So now if we pull up this thing here, the only other note to take care of here is this. This right here will do the same thing. Do you notice 2 of the TC regs? And now, instead of us doing that paragraph that I had up here, what are we doing the TC regs on? We're doing it on a web get of that output RSS file that you see right here. Now, I've tried to record this video once earlier. I can't remember if I've showed this to you already or not, but I think I did back at the very beginning, where I took that output RSS link that you see right here. I took that, I copied it and pasted it into here, and I called that thing RSS. So that's what we have here. WebGet GVRSS. Now what's this XML stuff and what is all this other stuff? Okay. If you take that URL right there, you copy and paste it, go over to freeformatter.com, and what this thing will do is it'll format it into an XML that you can somewhat digest. Okay, we got items. We got item 1, because the first word item I see, so I'll call it item 1, and then we have a description. Let me scroll down a little bit. We also have an item 2, because that's the end of the first item. So we have item 2, and we have its description. All right, that's the end of that item. So we have item 3, we have its description. And now here's where I had it highlighted. That's that is the link that I want to pull out of this thing. And it's actually all of that right there. That's what's going to take us to that thumbnail for that RSS feed. So what do we need to do? We need to cut out the words image source. We want to search inside of our XML. We want to search at each item, whether it be item 1, item 2, item 3, which corresponds to the RSSs. But be careful, RSS 0 corresponds to item 1. RSS1 corresponds to item 2. So that's one thing you have to be careful with there with the numbering. But inside of description, once we get to it, we want to search for image source, and we want to search for everything in front of it. So let's see if I can show you all this at one time. Here's that code. So that's the output RSS file, XML. And I've done some tutorials on XML, how you do the way you break it down to where you want to go. Remember I said we were at a certain item. So right now I'm at item 3. I'm going to its description. And when it does that, it's going to look at all of this stuff that occurs in description. Look at all the stuff that occurs in description. Starting here, all the way down to right there, to the end of the description. Well, inside of this thing, all we want is this right there. That's all we want. So how do we get to it? So we do that. Now, there's the description. So that's that long paragraph, or that long stuff right here. When we do a TC regex thing on it, we're going to search for image source equals one thing that occurs after image source equals, and then we want to cut out everything in front of it and we want to replace it with nothing. That's what I just spent, the first part of this video going over in the tutorial. We want to replace this stuff with nothing, which is essentially removing it. So what does this mean? Dot asterisk, that's going to remove this stuff here, all the way back to here. That's going to remove all of that stuff. But what else do we want to remove? We want to remove everything in front of it. We want to remove img space src equals period. So look at that. That's also going to remove that stuff all the way back to here. Because look at that code one more time. img space source equals, well look, img, there's a space, src equals, and notice I have a dot, because that dot's going to get rid of that quotation mark for me. Remember, that period gets rid of any character. So what is it going to leave me with after that? It's going to leave me with all of this stuff. Well, we want to get rid of quite a bit of that stuff too, so what we're going to have to do there is we're going to have to do that other TC reg I was talking about a while ago. When I was trying to cut out part of that sentence that said this is the only thing I want to see or whatever it did say. So we do the other TC reg on the stuff that we've just cut. We want to look for the word alt. So let me scroll on down. Oh Lord, I lost my spot. Okay. We want to look for the word alt. And let's look at our code again. So it finds the word alt, and I got this other, okay, yeah, I got it. Notice here at the end, this is what we want to get out of it. At the end of this link, we have a quotation mark and we have one space, and then we have the word alt with whatever occurs after it. That's why I have 2 periods in front of the word alt, because I want to get rid of that quotation mark and that space, and then I get rid of the word alt. I get rid of any character that occurs any number of repetitions. So basically what that part means there with that dot asterisk is going to remove everything after it. What are we replacing all this stuff with? Nothing. What that thing right there will do is it will leave you with nothing but that right there. Now that was probably a little bit harder to follow because you have all these, I don't know, signs, numbers, letters, or whatever floating around. That's why I decided to, go back and just type a paragraph and showed you how I had to do that TC reg twice to clip out the stuff I didn't want, which leaves me with the stuff I do want. One thing to note too down here, HTTP : is part of my code that I have in KLWP. So if I go back to my image, oh, hope my phone's not frozen. It might be. Let me go back into KLWP. Alright, so overlap group, dagnabbit. One more time. Alright, now we're back in business, I think. So that image, I've taken that code right there, and that's what I have copied in here. Hopefully you do understand how the periods are removing things in front of it, whereas the period and the asterisk removes everything after it. And the reason why I say remove is because we are replacing it with nothing. Alright. If you have any questions, I don't know if I can answer them. Because it is a lot going on. It's going to be hard to pinpoint your problem. However, I try my best. There are probably other ways of doing this. This code here was the code that I first started working with, and then I got to thinking about all the periods and stuff like that. How we can just a period will remove or replace or whatever you want it to do any character in any crazy file. But let's see here. So to kind of sum things up, and doing a quick test here to make sure that it's going to pull the image that we want. Inside of Google News, we got top stories, whatever category you want to pick. Yeah, I did come home from work yesterday. My wife told me about Prince passing away. She was a big fan. I didn't listen to much of his music, but I still could recognize it whenever it came on the radio or whenever she was listening to it. So rest in peace, Prince. I know, he was popular with all age groups all over the world. But, picking a topic down here, let's go to technology. So when I click on technology, it brings up a long URL. This is what I was mentioning earlier in the video. Let's get rid of everything back to here. Basically, I want to make sure I see that topic, TC, that stands for technology. And let's do and output equals RSS. Okay, so there's that crazy piece for that. Let me copy and paste that thing into KLWP. I'm going to go back to here. Let me delete all this and make sure I'm still going to pull the exact same thing. So if I delete that and press enter, it's going to refresh this page. So hopefully item 0 or RSS 0, which is going to be item 1 in the XML file. The way I have everything coded, it should pull the Uber and it should pull this if I go in here and just change this one little global variable. So let me check that. And let's go back and make sure before I do all this, let's make sure everything is set to RSS 0. So I'm going to go to image. Now, of course, for this, it's going to be It says loading right now, but probably it's already loaded. Item 1 is going to be the RSS 0 in KLWP, so that should be good. And then if I go to the text, which it says loading right now, it is going to do RSS 0. So I should see this title and this picture when I save this and go back to the home screen. And there we go. So yeah, that's working good based on the codes that I provided here. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to save this file. I'll link it in the description so you can maybe just copy and paste these codes once you download the file. But yeah, there you have it. That's how you can pull an RSS image, and that is how you can cut and replace and all that jazz using a little bit of RegEX with some periods and some asterisks. And that's it for this video. Hope it helped.